Hey, it's Rebecca Smith for the KBIA newsroom in Columbia, and it's time for Missouri Health Talks, a project where we listen in on Missourians' conversations about access to health care. This week we hear from Beth Orns and Katie McDannald. These friends are both mental health professionals in Columbia. They spoke about how the mental health of therapists has been impacted this year and about how even they need help at times. Here's Beth.
It's like the dirty little secret that we don't talk about. I remember I was telling somebody, I was a supervisor before of a bunch of social workers. And I was telling my supervisor, who was not a social worker, that I would say that probably about 75% of the people I supervised had a diagnosis of some sort and took medication. And she's like, oh, no, not that team. Like, they're so pulled together. And I'm like, because they take their medicine, right. Because they see their own therapist, that's why they look pulled together. And it was just so interesting to me that somebody who wasn't in our profession just was completely unaware that social workers get help and that you can't, and honestly, I don't know how you can do what we do without ever needing help. Whether you go to a formal therapist yourself or you have peers that you do consultation with and you talk to and you troubleshoot with and you support each other, like you need some sort of, you have to have a release valve for what we do. And our confidentiality is so high that we don't have jobs you go home and talk to your spouse about.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sitting in my house doing what I do, but I'm not going to run upstairs and tell my kid what I just did.
We're humans too. It's not like we have an on and off switch. Now I'm the social worker and now I'm Katie. If I have a client who attempts or completes suicide or who has a major psychotic break and hurts somebody or gets in a DWI accident, and those are all like very real things that my folks deal with, I can't go home and talk to my husband about this terrible grief and guilt I feel over losing somebody that I had a therapeutic relationship, but a relationship nonetheless with. And so he's not going to know why I'm crying in the shower.
And so when a person dies or a person is sick, you can't help but feel that too, and you don't get to normally grieve it. If you have a client who completes suicide, we don't get to go to the funerals. We don't get to send a card to the family. And so we feel this immense sense of grief and sometimes guilt and all these other feelings about what's happened. And we really just don't have somebody, we don't get to do the normal things you do to process that.
I see a therapist. And it's something that has always been an important part of my self-care.
There's a weird stigma still around it for a lot of people, like that we believe like we shouldn't, we don't want other people to know we're weak, even though we're all equally weak and we all equally need counseling. There's just, it's kind of like social media. We don't want to put on social media the ugly stuff. We only want to put the pretty stuff on. And so we want to curate this, like as a professional, it's like very clean image of who we are. And like we're some superhuman therapists, which isn't true.
That was Katie McDannald and Beth Orns, two Columbia-based mental health professionals, talking about how their work has impacts on their own mental health. That's it for this week's Missouri Health Talks, which was reported and produced by Olivia Love. Tune in next week for more conversations from throughout the state about health and access. I'm Rebecca Smith. Thanks for listening.